AM, WBEE HD2 and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in my hometown of the Flower City, downtown Rochester, the High Falls Studios, where the sun is out. And we're going to have some fun here today. 585-866-4326 is our phone number. We're on 95.7 FM, AM 950, streaming for free in the Odyssey app. We're on YouTube and on Twitch. If you miss any of the show, we're always on demand 1 to 3. We're a 2-hour daily podcast, if you will, on Rochester sports. What more could you want or ask for? Fun weekend. Summer's over the way it kind of feels like to me. It is football season. I know summer isn't over, but you just get the feeling that we're now in a rhythm. We'll talk to Ryan Talbot. Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com and the Shout podcast. Talk about some of these Bills storylines as the team. Hey, the rookies have been at it, just not in our view. They've been back at the facility. The veterans reporting tomorrow. We'll talk to Ryan Talbot coming up at 2:25. We also have a Bill story today we'll get to, which people feel very, very strongly about. Matthew LeCroy is the manager of the Rochester Red Wings. He will join us at 2:05. So the Wings split in Buffalo over the week. And the adage is if you win 50% of your games on the road, you're going to be doing okay. But there is one and only playoff spot that's available here in the second half. The Wings right now hovering around 500 in the second half of the International League season. Syracuse coming into town tomorrow night. We'll talk some baseball coming up with Matthew LeCroy. Coming up at about 2:05, which means hour number 1 is open for you. The Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com. The table is set. I have taken in a lot of takes. It seems people are online perturbed at the unveiling of the Bills' alternate unis, which, Tim, I think you kind of said it. And if you're just doing this from hey, timing-wise, nobody asked for this. We got a lot of new things happening. We've got something that happens once pretty much in a lifetime. Like, If there's another new Bills Stadium in our lifetime, well, I'm living really, really old, and maybe I'm setting all sorts of records, right? I don't anticipate that. Once in a lifetime, a new Bills Stadium opening. That's kind of a headline story, right? We have a new head coach. Isn't it crazy to think that the last time we had a new head coach for the Buffalo Bills entering St. John Fisher, we were coming off of Rex Ryan? Except we're not coming off Rex Ryan. We're coming off Sean McDermott. It's Joe Brady's camp. That's new. Should be kind of a new twist on things just a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. But, yeah, at minimum, it's a fresh coat of paint for the Buffalo Bills this year, particularly on the defense. Hey, new defense, new defensive scheme, new defensive coordinator. For that matter, new offensive coordinator. But, hey, can this defense actually get back to being in the top half of the league? Is that too much to ask? When you're just doing stats across the board, a lot of new things where, like, if you're just kind of ranking them, number 4 on the list, new alternate uniforms. Nobody was clamoring for that. Teams that win consistently don't really need to do this unless it's kind of mandated. And it's funny how, like, baseball, I guess everybody does it except the Yankees, but in football, like, you don't see the Chiefs coming out with a new alternate uniform, do you? I mean, the Patriots went to a throwback, but anything barring something that we know you liked before, like the red helmets, people were going to hate today. And sure enough, the stuff that we reported on the report from Chris Creamer a month ago actually got unveiled today. So that would be question number 1. Usually the NFL's buttoned up about this stuff. Like, you usually don't get leaks about, well, we had leaks. Ryan Talbot, who joined us, he had the photos. They all popped up on Reddit. I'm like, oh, that's the helmet. Oh, this is going to be the uniform. It looks kind of drab. Maybe it looks better in the sunlight. Maybe it'll look better when the Bills win, but it's not anything from my feed that people are getting excited about. I would also say this, too, about uniforms. And, again, this is just my opinion, my observation. I don't know what the reason for this is, but I'm going to say that here in this part of the country, y'all care about uniforms way more than other markets. You think they really get bent out of shape in Philly or New York or Boston or any of these towns? I don't think to that degree. And maybe it's because Buffalo, Western New York, you just identify with these teams so much. And you have so much passion. Yeah, these uniforms, the best thing I can say about, and if you haven't seen them, I'll describe them. They're being called the Nickel City uniforms. Nickel, of course, part of Buffalo's manufacturing history, right? And they got all kitschy here with it. It has a blue collar to reflect our blue collar mentality. And it's a blue helmet with just a blown-up version of the current Bills logo, and just kind of wraps around the back. In gray uniforms, basically. Just a little bit of a blue accent. Just not very exciting to me. Nick writing in. You can write in. If you know my phone number, you can always text, but I'm not giving that out over the air. Best way to reach us at WGR Rochester is our hand. I know somebody who did that. And I wouldn't advise giving out your personal cell phone over the air.
Not wise.
Not wise. No, I don't need any more spam calls than I already get. Nick writing in, hello there. Don't like the new Bills uni. Yeah, you and many others. Did they announce when these will be worn? No, Nick, they didn't, because you know what? We want to kind of create some serial content. That'll be it for another day when we get to learn, what the Bills are wearing. Here's my simple ask. My simple ask for the alternate uni: don't do it on opening night against the Lions. For one, you kind of look like the Lions, right? That kind of looks like the other one. But just don't do it then. Just go with a white helmet, royal blue jersey, white pants. Done. I don't know if this kind of replaces the red alternate jersey. I don't know. Are we still getting a red alternate helmet? Serial content. There we go. Well, if you're heading out to camp, I'm sure it used to be like a mammoth team store, like something they really, really built up with, air conditioning. Big Ten, it was almost like the PGA kind of rolled in there. It's not like that anymore. But they will have their merch wagons rolling up into Fisher next week, and I'm sure this New Jersey will be available for you to purchase. 8:30 coming up Wednesday morning. That'll be the first practice at St. John Fisher. Of all the years doing camp out of Fisher, and for the better part, I've been at all of them since 2000, more so than some years than others. I don't ever recall an opening day where you might have it just kind of raining. Tomorrow, apparently, it is going to be raining here in town, which, okay, we got to deal with that every once in a while. So things to look forward to for training camp. Other than that, the Bills news is quiet, which I think you would sign up for, considering you have this other story today. So 2 other football stories we can get to here in this opening segment. I know you've got thoughts on LeBron. We'll get to that, which the thing that cracks me up. The thing that cracks me up, Tim, and hopefully I'm not usurping your take. The idea that LeBron can't live himself in Philadelphia. Is this actually true that he's going to live in Manhattan and then ride the chopper in 45 minutes?
I love it. It's so good.
But it's so good it's
It
bad.
appears to be true, but I can't confirm it, but yeah, that appears to be the case, and to me, that's awesome. I think that if you're able to do something that outrageous, every single, you're going to get on a helicopter and go to work on a daily basis. That's incredible to me.
That will not fly in Philadelphia.
It's LeBron.
It's LeBron, I suppose, but Philadelphia has this little brother complex to New York. They're just jealous of New York. And what do you think you're better than us? Like, I'll say this. I'm not Trista Crick, who once upon a time eviscerated the city of Philadelphia on our air, just like out of nowhere. It's like, whoa, didn't know that was coming. My sister-in-law works in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a very nice town, very nice city. But it's not New York. It's not Boston. It's not Washington, D.C. If you're doing the rankings of power cities on the East Coast, Philadelphia has history, but it checks in at number 4. And it's a nice city. There's a lot of things to do in Philadelphia, but it's not New York. And I can't wait to see how this plays out. So Tim will have more thoughts on the Sixers and with LeBron, which means, okay, do we get now the schedule? Is this what we're holding up for? Now instead of getting Cleveland and New York on opening night, because you got to put the Knicks on opening night on that Thursday, right? Now you're getting Philadelphia. Now you're getting the Sixers and LeBron, and we're all going to tune in for that. It's like, wow, the NBA all of a sudden feels like it's back if they give us that. Hey, we're going to raise the banner for the New York Knicks, and here's LeBron. I, for one, am glad LeBron didn't choose the Knicks, or maybe the Knicks didn't want him. Didn't seem like there was any momentum heading in that direction, so it makes things a little bit more spicy. I know you've got more thoughts on that coming up. But for the Bills, really, you want things kind of quiet right now as compared to, I don't know, Kansas City, where we get the story today that the son of offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy has been arrested and charged for allegedly shooting his mother. 27-year-old Elijah Zion Benamy arrested and charged with malicious wounding, using a firearm in commission of a felony, and discharge of a firearm inside a dwelling. So he's being held right now in a Virginia jail. Well, I always wondered why Eric Bieniemy just couldn't get that next step. For years, he was the OC in Kansas City and could never get that opportunity. And then he bet on himself, which I commended at the time, and I still do. Like, hey, this isn't working. I'm living in the shadow of Andy Reid. I want to be a head coach in this league. Let me try something different. And that's how he goes to Washington. And it does not work out whatsoever. So Matt Nagy moves on. He's back at Bieniemy in Kansas City. And now Kansas City has, I don't know, what do they call this in Kansas City? The distraction, whatever. Hopefully the mom is going to be okay. Coaching takes a toll on families. It certainly does. And if there's one guy who can counsel Eric Bieniemy on this, that would be Andy Reid. 585-866-4326. If I say that in Kansas City, by the way, they're either dumping that or I'm getting fired, by the way, because you're not allowed to talk ill about Andy Reid in Kansas City, in terms of, what may be off the field. Michael Lombardi on paid leave in North Carolina. Oh, wow. Okay, so this was on the horizon, meaning just kind of driving around yesterday, and I'm still a masochist. I'm listening to the Mets inside the Odyssey app, Odyssey Mets Radio. And inside the Dodgers-Mets game, they're talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame ceremony, which, they're kind of giving you updates and little stories about Beltran as a Met, Andrew Jones, Jeff Catt for a hot minute was a Met, right? And then it got me thinking, wow, okay, we're right around the corner from the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Notice it's not the NFL Hall of Fame. It's the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And the Pro Football Hall of Fame, this is coming at us really, really quick because you have the Bills reporting tomorrow. First practice on Wednesday. 1 week from Thursday is the Hall of Fame game. Tim, what is the Hall of Fame? Is it on NBC again this year? Look that up real quick.
You got it.
Yeah, so Hall of Fame game. And the way the Hall of Fame game works is it's
NBC.
It's
8
NBC.
o'clock.
Yeah, it's NBC, and we get all excited, and then you hear the trumpets. Da, 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 da. You're like, yeah, football. And then you sit down, and you're like, what am I watching? Like, what is this? Like, I don't even know who these players are. And it's not like you have teams that people care about this year. It's Carolina and Arizona. And, and they'll toss down to the fluffy Hall of Fame interviews, and we'll all watch it. But the storyline for me isn't Carolina, Arizona. It's not certainly whatever happens in that game. It's not even who's going into the Hall of Fame that weekend. It's who isn't. And how petty and silly, like, you have, at worst, the second best head coach in the NFL in history, in Bill Belichick. Okay, maybe third. Maybe you're saying Lombardi because it was a different era. Maybe Bill Walsh you would put in that. But no one in their right mind would say, nah, Bill Belichick's not a Hall of Famer. Let's make him wait a year. And I've yet to hear the coherent argument that would get me to sway my opinion on this. Sure, there was a scandal, right? And to even take that away, like, there are so many things that he piled up in his career. He belongs in the Hall of Fame. In the first year, he's eligible. He's not in. Worse, one voter, Tony Dungy, NBC, why didn't you vote for him? He's not saying anything. And NBC's like, well, why are we paying you? So Tony Dungy, like, just to try to stand upon whatever he thought was his moral ground, it cost him his career. I don't need to hear from Tony Dungy anymore. I don't need to hear from Bill Polian anymore. Like, there's no argument other than maybe Bill Polian was able to sway that committee that, hey, maybe my Colts wouldn't have lost that game had there not been a deflated football. Well, yeah, you would have. If it was a deflated football, if it was a Nerf football, whatever it was, you were going to lose that game. The Colts were a no-show that day. And the Patriots were, they were dinged accordingly on that. Also, that really, was that Belichick, or was that because it's Belichick's team, it was more Brady? Now, the Spygate stuff is interesting. And again, they were dinged on that. I don't want to be defending the Patriots or anything, but I just find that if we're looking for stories on the horizon in the NFL, it's almost like we've kind of forgotten about Jordan Hudson and the drama and Bill Belichick. You know why we forgot about it? Because they're not any good. They were 4-8 last year in a conference that we really, even with Syracuse in it, don't care. Like, if North Carolina football was a thing, if they were getting top recruits, if they were, if alums were opening their checkbook, but so many alums are just embarrassed that Bill Belichick brings in his 25-year-old child bride and tries to do that. But then the Belichick thing that he's always been blind to is that he doesn't hire the best person for the job per se. He hires the person he's most comfortable with. That was his downfall. The idea that, you mean to tell me, like, the best offensive coordinator you could find was a guy that was your defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia? How? Why? Oh, we didn't give him the title offensive coordinator. Okay, whatever it was, he was in charge of things. You didn't hire the best person for that job. Michael Lombardi, if you're using like kind of the mob reference, he's always been the consigliere to Belichick, always been kind of the quiet kind of advisor, and which was an interesting hire because where Michael Lombardi might know the pro game, when it comes to raising money in college athletics, is he really the best hire? Where I could say Matt Patricia certainly wasn't. Maybe you could say Lombardi was because the game has changed in college athletics. I'm going to say no. I just think he got the job of being North Carolina's GM because, well, he knew the way to handle Belichick. Well, paid leave, usually that means, there's a serious accusation, but we really need to take our time and do our finger quote due diligence on this and get lawyers involved. There's a complaint made against Lombardi from a UNC staffer, and this is why Michael Lombardi has to go away. Well, we'll have the storyline change here in a couple weekends. Not this weekend, but the following weekend, where you'll have the Hall of Fame ceremonies, and again, who isn't there? And it's the opportunity for one Jordan Hudson, to just light up her Instagram and have some passive aggressive things. Maybe they have a party. Maybe they're on the beach. Maybe they're doing their yoga thing, where she's balancing with his back. The whole thing is creepy and weird. And it's going to come back up in the news cycle. 585-866-4326. A little different on the show today because we do have Ryan Talbot coming up bottom of next hour. So we'll talk more Buffalo Bills football. Matthew Lecroy is the manager of the Rochester Red Wings, who are back home against the Syracuse Mets. Yes, and this is the rule in the sports bar that Dan DeLorean does not adhere to. You root for the team that says Rochester across the front, not your favorite major league team that's stockpiling. There will be people... I know this. Like, there are people I know that go out and look, there's nothing wrong with you hear about Ben Rice. You want to go see Ben Rice. That's fine. That's part of the fun part. Like, go check out the other team's prospect. And if you're a fan of the Yankees, by all means. But that doesn't mean you cheer for Scranton when they come in. You still cheer for the Red Wings. That's the way I see it. 585-866-4326. My name is Gene Battaglia here in WGR Rochester.
Rochester Sports Update.
Buffalo Bills unveiling their new Nickel City alternate uniforms. Gray jerseys, gray pants, blue helmets. Even though there's a new head coach, Sal Capaccio, WGR, doesn't expect any big changes this camp.
Practice generally looks the same, guys. You might have different periods of, like, if you really concentrate on when they're doing red zone or when they're doing field goals or something like that. Practice generally looks the same from coach to coach. Energetic, music's playing. You're just trying to get your work in, right? So I think that a lot of the stuff that's different is more behind the scenes.
8:30 a.m. first practice coming up on Wednesday. Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, and the Shout Podcast will join us next hour. Rochester Red Wings off today. They open a series at home against Syracuse tomorrow. Yankees tonight against the White Sox in Chicago. The Mets hosting the Braves. Ronald Acuna back on the Braves roster. Gene Battaglia and the sports leader, 95.7 FM, AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
One thing that can kind of be, bothersome, especially like you're on the beat, like a post-game press conference, especially after a loss, where the athlete will bring their children up to the podium. Like we have mixed feelings on this. At least I do. Like, because you always these guys don't get enough time to spend with their kids, right? And we want to all be good fathers, and here they are showing they're good fathers, or are they? This is the mixed part, because the cynic in me would say, hey, it's a little tougher to throw a question that's critical when your kid is right on the podium. You see this with Draymond Green. You see with some other guys in the NFL. Like training camp this week, no problem. Unless there's something really, really controversial at training camp, which I don't think there will be. If Deion Dawkins wants to hang out with the family, no problem. I'm talking about, hey, where we want real answers, okay? And in training camp across area, like, is there any controversy? The answer is yes. Not here. Not here. The stunt Mike Vrabel pulled. And his kids are grown. His kid, remember that to me, like the one draft where his kid was, I don't know, he was in anime or something weird in the background.
Oh, yeah, weird in the bathroom.
Yeah. It was just kind of strange.
It was the COVID draft.
Yeah, the COVID draft. That's like, okay, let's peek inside the Vrabel household. Like, okay, that's kind of where little do we know how weird it could get. With Mike Vrabel, he didn't bring the kids up. Nope, he didn't bring the wife up. No, he didn't bring the alleged mistress up. He brought a puppy. Walking up his first training camp practice, bringing a puppy to the podium. Now, the workaround here is the team has an adoption event. Now, the Sabres, as you listen to Sabres Live, that comes on right before us, they just had their adoption event, and Dan Dunleavy voiced the Sabres very much into it. I'm not talking about anything like that, but you're Mike Vrabel, and legitimately you're bringing shame to your family. People had questions, and you could just kind of see, all right, we back on the right track, and from the get-go, the way this was handled, just to kind of reset, not how you handle it from a PR perspective. I'm going to give PR advice that some people would charge a lot of money for, and here it is free right over the air or inside the app, wherever you're listening. And that's this. Hey, you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, say, fess up, I'm sorry, move on, say I'm ready to get back to work, and let's go. That's it. But if you blatantly lie, that's when people start to get angry and they start to dig because, some people don't have anything better to do. But this wasn't one of those cases. This was, high-power NFL head coach with a reporter, and you're giving her information. Anyhow, that just did not sit the right way with me. Bringing a dog to the opening press conference. Now, it's a little different, right? If Joe Brady wants to get up there on Wednesday, and hopefully Joe Brady says all the nice things that Sean McDermott did, right? Oh, because we have questions here in Rochester. Like, all right, we see where this might be headed, right? Like, if the Bills really wanted to have training camp back in Buffalo, they certainly can. They're only coming out here for a week and a half. Why the expense? Why the time? Well, bonding certainly is on it, and for now, hey, Josh Allen likes this. Josh Allen gets to play golf across the street. It's all good. Hopefully he gets to play golf. Hopefully the weather kind of holds up. But again, if Deion Dawkins wants to bring his kids, I'm fine. No problem. It's training camp. If Mike Vrabel wants to bring a pup, if Joe Brady brings a puppy, that's fine. I don't have anything critical to say to Joe Brady here. Opening press conference coming up on the 29th of July. At least I hope not. All right? It's pretty much, it's as easy as it's going to get. Welcome back. How is it? Tell us about some of the athletes that are a little banged up right now. Tell us your expectation for camp. What's going to be different? Basically, all going to be softball questions. But for Mike Vrabel, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with this. You know why? Just let there just be more noise out of New England. Let there be wait until A.J. Brown doesn't get his way on something. I just sit back, enjoy, because if the Bills take care of their own business, it's hard for me to imagine the Patriots actually going back-to-back. Again, if the Bills take care of their own business. 585-866-4326 is our phone number to call. We have Ryan Talbot coming up next hour. We'll be talking a little bit more about the uniforms, where I usurped Timmy's take on that. It's like, yeah, it's not the uniform itself. It's the fact that you're getting a lot of stuff thrown at you at once, and you didn't ask for this. You didn't ask for this. And it feels almost like a little more of a mini-ask. If you've already been asked to do the PSLs and you're being asked for this money, you're going to be asked for that money, and now here's our updated jersey. All right. There's only so many times you can go back and make an ask on that stuff.
Josh Allen has a lot of pull within this organization. Do you think that that's something that he gets asked about? Like, does he clear this jersey?
No. That's a good question. What is Josh Allen? What do you got to run by on Josh Allen? It's noteworthy that if you go back to the end of last season, and my gosh, if they're going to start off this season, the end of last season, you had players literally in tears. Yeah, because they knew, had the instinct, something bad was going to happen. And why do you cry sometimes? Because you feel like you might have a little blood on your hands. Just my read on it. I don't know for a fact that they knew, but I just, that locker room in Denver came off way different. Maybe it was also they knew that this was their best shot, knowing that there wasn't a field in the AFC like other years. But that's where the season will start. And to answer your question, Tim, it was very noteworthy that Allen had a seat at the table in the whole process of hiring a head coach. That's remarkable. You're looking for the comp in sports? That's hard to come by. It actually also is smart, too, that if he is that valuable, that he's not the decision maker, but you need to kind of listen. And then if he has an objection about somebody, all right, well, let's just kind of table that. Now, what I hope is that the Bills got this right. Like, in other words, if we see the Raiders, all of a sudden it's 2002 or 1983, whatever era Raider football that they were good, and you got to go way, way back, right? Sorry, Raider fan. But if all of a sudden Clint Kubiak is this offensive mastermind and they've unlocked all these things and they whooped it up real quick, it's one of those, okay, let's reserve judgment for a while. But it will be just a reminder that pretty much the Bills could have had the pick of the litter. They did. They could have really had anybody they chose. Like, you want to win in the NFL? You have Josh Allen. Tailor-made. Here we go. Turnkey. I think we all want the Brady thing to work. But there are going to be times this year where you might have an ugly loss. You might have when we're doing the blame pie, usually it does fall down on coaching. And just reading a lot of Warren Sharp and other writers over the summer that have just really broken down the Buffalo Bills, and you hear the morning show talk about this too, it's just how run heavy the Buffalo Bills were last year. And they had the leading rusher in the NFL. Are we ever going to see that again for the Buffaloes? Probably. But when you have a Josh Allen, wouldn't you think it would be kind of leaning the other direction? Was that because Allen was banged up at the end of the year? Was it because they wanted was it the fact you really didn't have the athletes you needed on the outside to get open? It's all interesting, right? Or was it the fact that the Bills really knew they had a subpar defensive scheme, personnel, whatever it is? We've got to make good on this. And the way we're going to make good is we're just going to shorten games. That could be it too. Complementary football was kind of bashed into our heads, right? I want the Brady thing to work. I want to see him put his new wrinkle. That update the cut we heard from Sal Capaccio, we're going to see different. Pretty much anything. I would say probably, yeah, when you're out there watching practice, I don't think you're going to say, oh, that's different. Probably not. You want to keep everything kind of in focus. But isn't it noteworthy that they're going a little earlier? Isn't it noteworthy that camp is a little shorter? I mean, there's going to be these little wrinkles here. When we get to August 15th, do we see will Josh Allen and the offensive starters need some work? I mean, there's a lot of questions. And Lance Osowski has it up, too. Like, for Joe Brady to be calling the plays, too. All right. That's completely different. Have we ever had a Bills head coach also serve as the offensive play caller? We've had plenty of Bills, head coaches where they just rolled up their sleeves and, calling plays on defense. McDermott did that from time to time. Like, okay, Leslie, take the headset off. I've got it here. I don't know. If anybody knows, help me on that. 585-866-4326. We will talk some Wings baseball coming up next hour. Matthew LeCroy is the manager of the Red Wings. We'll have a few good minutes talking some ball. Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, the Shout Podcast, as he and a lot of the other Bills reporters rolling into town coming up. Ryan Talbot will be talking some Bills football and these new unis that nobody seems to like. My name is Gene Battaglia. Tim's Terrible Take next year in the Sports Bar.
You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Could one of the sections in New York actually be headed to court against New York State? Welcome back here in the Sports Bar. Not Section 5. I think everything Section 5 is fine. People have their feelings right about private schools competing against schools that are public. Well, apparently in Section 1 they had enough of that. And this is downstate. This is Westchester County, Putnam County, Rockland County, whatever. That they had their own rule that beginning next year, no more sectional play for any private school. Well, New York State High School Athletic Association overturned that. And now where does this go? I just always find that curious because that's always kind of a hot button issue. I want to say, like, when it comes to our town. Like, I'm totally fine with it, but I could understand why, if you are a parent in Pittsburgh, Penfield, Spencerport, wherever, that you may look at things a little differently when it comes to competing against those private schools. Boy, do we have some thoughts on LeBron here. We welcome in Tim Schneider.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
I suppose you can consider this my formal apology to LeBron James because last week we kind of harped on him for taking his time and making the spectacle about him. But I think now that the decision has been made, and I approve of the decision, I think I'm okay with all of the chaos or boredom, perhaps, that followed the 26-day wait or whatever the number was. Because he went to a place that not many people anticipated, not many people expected, and he didn't do it for money. He didn't do it for anything other than victory. And 24 years into one of the most storied careers in NBA history, he's still got 2 years left in him. And at his age, which is unprecedented, he's still going to contribute to a team that is probably one of the favorites. Maybe not the favorite, but that is the favorite out of the East. There's still some contenders with Boston and the Knicks, but the Sixers are in that conversation now. And if that team is healthy, and if VJ Edgecombe can make that next leap to becoming a superstar, this Sixers roster is nasty. LeBron is a major contributor to it, despite not being a top 2 or 3 guy anymore. And that's a fun team to watch, and it makes somebody who considers himself a casual NBA fan. I am now a Sixers fan for LeBron James.
Okay. Lot to unpack there. I'll start with a trivia question, okay? And then we'll get back to the answer, okay? We'll see if Tim knows it. So with LeBron going to Philadelphia, this means that, all right, it's not too often that you have a team with 2 former MVPs. Normally, that's kind of like so LeBron has won his share, and Embiid actually won an MVP too. So don't give me your answer, we'll come back. Give me the last team in the NBA to, on their roster, have 2 former MVPs. LeBron going to Philadelphia, on the one hand, I see what he's doing. He is trying to win the GOAT argument. The idea that if he does this in Philadelphia, then it's another, well, that's impressive. You did it with 4 teams. I would say the Lakers, was that really a championship? Well, under those circumstances, I guess. But if he couldn't do it with Luka, I mean, like you mean to tell me that the Sixers roster is going to be that much better than what he's had recently in Los Angeles? He hasn't had a running mate. Like, look, okay, Maxi's good. I get that. Embiid, please. Embiid is a shell of himself. Tim, again, the trivia question, the last team that had 2 former MVPs on the roster at the same time was, what's your guess?
I would guess the Lakers between Shaq and Kobe, but
that is not correct. It's a little more recent, actually.
Boston?
Nope. It's going to support my argument. It was the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn with Durant and Harden.
Yeah.
And how did that team of superstars actually work out?
Not great.
How did that work out? The idea that, well, LeBron might need some time and Embiid might need some time. Of course they're going to need time. Like, LeBron is 41. 40-year-olds don't win NBA championships. They just don't. And if they're going to be a regular person, so the report today from Front Office Sports that the Sixers are actually going to be the team that they're going to max out now. 34 games on the schedule. That is the max amount that you're allowed to have on national television. And now that is what is being reconfigured here, making sure that everybody gets their healthy dose of LeBron wearing Sixers gear. LeBron going here, there, everywhere. Like, in terms of an athlete, I guess you kind of got to respect it. I thought for sure he'd go back to Miami. If he and Pat Riley could have made nice. But I didn't see the Sixers thing kind of going anywhere.
I don't think anybody did.
No. And it's like, and I think what he's saying too, and this should rile up New York fans. Like the smoke out of Golden State was something too, and that would have been interesting, right? I don't think Golden State, even with or without LeBron, was going to do anything. Not in that conference. Like, if he wanted to go anywhere, Minnesota. Like, Minnesota would have been like and apparently they were talking. That would have been really, really interesting. But LeBron, at the end of the day, he's 41. Does he want to, freeze his toots off? No, he wants to go. Like, not that Philadelphia isn't, balmy in the month of January, but if I'm a Philadelphia resident, I'm kind of sort of offended that you can't live in our best side of town. You can't live in a good suburb here. If this is true, that LeBron James is actually going to live in Manhattan and then fly by chopper. Okay, after the Kobe thing, I don't know, flying by chopper, no. I took one chopper ride on my honeymoon. That's enough for me. I'm like, nope. I'm sure they're all safe and everything, but that's a little extreme. 2 years, $8 million. Is that what he's getting? Something like that?
Yeah, 2 years, $8 million, which is nothing for somebody who's made almost $1 billion in his career.
No, and then, where does LeBron now fit in terms of NBA expansion? I thought we would have by now heard, hey, we're going to Vegas, we're going back to Seattle, whatever it is. I'm just curious as to why that has been slowed down. And maybe it's just, hey, we got to figure out how to get more private equity. Or maybe there just isn't enough competent NBA owners. If you're letting that clown Tom Dundon into the NBA Governor Club in Portland, no, maybe there just aren't enough people that want to buy teams here. The Sixers, by the way, so here are the updated odds in the Eastern Conference. Like, in terms of real contenders, Indiana plus 1,600, Miami plus 1,000, Cleveland plus 1,000, Toronto plus 900, Detroit plus 800, Boston at plus 600, Philadelphia plus 350, and the Knicks at plus 330. If you're just doing it by odds, aren't you curious? Like, Ante DeCumpo at plus 1,000. We'll talk to PJ Glasser. By the way, not on Wednesday. PJ Glasser in studio coming up with us on Friday. Well, that'll be a lot of fun. 585-866-4326. Thank you, Tim, for the take on that. And I guess we can all get back to our lives. And
we waited a long time.
Well, the funny thing is, you think we're overdue for the NBA schedule. Actually, we're not. It's right on course here, where the NBA schedule is always released in the first week in August. We're kind of have it kind of drilled in their head. Okay, NFL schedule comes out in May. NHL schedule somewhere around the All-Star break for baseball so we can win the news cycle. NBA schedule really didn't know. Oh, and then baseball. Oh, just random afternoon in summer, like a year
2 hours after the NHL.
Yeah, here, you foolish baseball. And I'm with my brother-in-law last night. He's going to Yankees Cubs this weekend, Chicago. And he's like, yeah, I want to plan a trip next year. Maybe we could try St. Louis. I'm like, dude, you're not planning any trip for baseball next year. You shouldn't. Don't. Until you see CBA has been agreed, and that is not anywhere on the horizon. Just enjoy baseball. My gosh, we also have a Major League Baseball trade deadline. We had the minor deal there with the Nationals and the Red Sox over the weekend, but as a result, kind of indirectly, Brady House goes back up. Brady House is tearing the cover off the ball. I'm like, okay, it's great we have him here, and development isn't always linear, right? Like sometimes there's a little setback, and Brady House, he came back down. And I thought he did a fine job with Rochester. Now he goes back up to the Nats. He had 2 hits in his first game back. We'll talk to the manager coming up. Matthew LeCroy, manager of your Rochester Red Wings next hour. Also Ryan Talbot about the Bills' new alternate uniforms. No, I don't know when they're going to be wearing them. Do I like them? No. Does it matter at the end of the day? We care about this stuff more than other markets. Trust me on that. Trust me. I'm more interested in, all right, tell me more about this defensive alignment kid, Ed Oliver or Greg Rousseau, or maybe even both. Can you unlock those guys' full potential over a full season? That's what I'm interested in. That's what's coming up at camp. Yeah, can Keon Coleman, we'll all be excited. He'll look great, I'm sure. He might make a great play at camp. Will that translate to games in August and September and thereafter? Those are the things I'd like to talk about.
I wonder how different our opinion would be if they were actually cool. Like, because they stink, we just don't care. But if they were cool, I think we'd be all about it. But they stink.
Yeah, I haven't seen the person that, like, usually you get the contrarian point of view, like, these are awesome, and like, they're not the JP Lossman era uniforms.
No.
That's the one thing nice I can say. Back after this here on WGR Rochester.
BEE HD2 and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. WGR Rochester. Sports update.
It's a new look for the Buffalo Bills, the team unveiling their new Nickel City alternate uniforms, gray jerseys, gray pants, blue helmets. Not sure which games the team will wear them. 8:30 Wednesday. That's the first practice at St. John Fisher. Veterans reporting tomorrow. Rochester Red Wings hosting Syracuse tomorrow, today being the off day. Manager Matthew LeCroy to join us here a little bit in the sports bar. Baseball tonight, pretty much a full schedule. The Yankees beginning a week out in Chicago. First stop, the South Side, taking on the White Sox. The Mets hosting the Braves, and also other games, everything under the lights tonight, including the Orioles taking on the Tigers. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today get 2 rounds for the price of 1 to Eagle Vale Golf Course. For this and other great deals, log on to GetMyPerks.com. Gene Battaglin, Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coat, get sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have things much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar for Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2 here. Thank you for joining us here in the sports bar. Gene Battaglia with you from the High Fall Studios in downtown Rochester, where the sun is out. Summer in the middle of it. It's been a fun Wings season. Wings back home beginning tomorrow. The Syracuse Mets being the opponent. And joining us here on the phone, Matthew LeCroy, manager of the Rochester Red Wings. Matthew, appreciate the time as always. And, you go on the road, you split with Buffalo, but let's start with Brady House. I mean, he really did the job, earned the recall back up to Washington. Your thoughts on that, Matthew? How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Happy to be here. Brady, hats off to Brady. He came down here with a great attitude after being sent down and worked on some things that he struggled with at the big league level. He came to work every day. Him and Mario Lasson worked on some defensive stuff, and then him and Brian Dahlback, our hitting coach here, got together and worked on some stuff, and he actually got some more confidence, made some really nice plays, did some things offensively that they liked, and then they called him up yesterday, and he had a great game in his first game back. Yeah,
a couple times getting on base there. That's, and the Nats are kind of this fun team that, all right, they're on the fringe there, which should make it interesting for everybody of a wild card chase. Generally speaking, not speaking to Brady's situation himself, but you as a manager, when you have a prospect that gets the call up and quite often thinking this is it. Okay, I'm never going to be – now I'm a major leaguer and let's go. And then the path is never linear, right? Sometimes there might be setback. What is that like then for you when you get an athlete that's coming back to this level and maybe their head isn't in the right spot, Matt?
Well, that's where my experience comes as a player and as a manager, just dealing with it. I've dealt with it for about the last 12 years, guys getting sent back, having to make sure that they understand the reason why they did and the things that we need to do from a staff perspective to pass along to the player to make sure that they're getting another chance to go back and show what they can actually do. And that happens a lot. You deal with it a lot. Big prospect, he goes up, he struggles. The big leagues is a very hard place to play. It's nowhere close to being in AAA. And if you don't make the adjustments, you usually get sent back. But sometimes getting sent back, can be helpful for them to have a much longer career than most people if you have the right mindset. So we get involved with it. I get involved with it. We have a sports psychologist that helps guys out that we think may need it and may benefit from it. So there's a lot of different processes that we go through when guys get sent down. But the main thing we do is just work on the things that they struggled in to make sure that when they get another chance, they make the most of it.
Coming off a week, your thoughts on 6-game series, splitting with Buffalo, win 3, lose 3. Do you subscribe to the adage that, if you win half your games on the road, everything's going to be all right, Matt?
Well, I think with the personnel issues that we're dealing with right now, Morales is on the IL. Seaver King's on the IL. These guys are all big pieces of what we did in the first half, and they're not playing. And anytime we can go 500 with the guys that we have playing in their place, that's a win for us. And the guys that we have here on the bench are quality players that can fill in. But, when you lose the guys like Morales and Seaver King, the big offensive players and defensive players, it tends to hurt. And then on the other side of it, you got the pitching part. Our team's in it in the big leagues, so you can see a revolving door here that can change your roster very quickly in AAA. But we still have enough men here to go out and have a chance to win the second half.
Yeah, I mean, kind of along with that, if Washington is on the front, and maybe this is a question that is, this is not your job, right? But this time of year, you've been through,
Sure.
you make multiple trade deadlines, and you read rumors, like you go online, you see it could just be people spitballing. But how much do you have to kind of reassure the guys? Just kind of focus on what's happened, and if you see your name mentioned here, let's go on and play here tonight, guys.
Sure, for us, that's part of it. The coaching staff that we have here, the guys that play, the guys who've been in it, guys who've been in AAA coaching for a while. We understand that, sometimes everybody thinks they're going to get traded, and they see their name in the paper. It may change the way they go out and play. But we preach to these guys every day that you're not only playing for the Washington Nationals, you're playing for 29 other teams. So it doesn't matter if a trade now or a trade later or a free agency after this. You got to go out and play as hard as you can, compete as hard as you can, and go out and give yourself a chance with not only the Nationals but other teams. But it's kind of fun. The trade deadline for me is fun. You see if you're going to be sellers or buyers, and I'm really proud of the big league team because a lot of those guys, most all of them came through Rochester that I was able to manage and be a part of their career. So it's very fun to watch what's going on now.
Yeah, for sure. Matthew LeCroy, our guest here, Wings manager. Wings begin a series at home tomorrow night against Syracuse. Matt, we haven't talked since the end of the first half of the season, and when you look back at it, it came right down to the final day. It didn't go your way. Looking back at it, what was that experience like for you and your guys to play meaningful baseball in June?
Oh, well, I'll tell you, it's the first time, other than my 1 year in the big leagues with Minnesota where we had a playoff, kind of stretch for about 6 weeks. We had it here for about 5-6 weeks. And for these guys to know that every game matters every night, that's awesome for player development. Now, we were very disappointed. It stung like heck that we didn't win that last game, but then it gives you a chance to coach and teach about games that we might have let slip away, that if we'd have been better in certain areas, it might not have came down to the last day. But at the same time, being in player development, Jackson Kent got to pitch in 2 big ball games, Tuesday and Sunday, a really valuable experience for him because he's going to pitch in the big leagues, and hopefully that experience he had that last week will help him kind of get through his big league outing, because if you've never been to the big leagues as a player, it's hard to really tell you how everything's magnified at that level. And the closest thing you have to emulate that is to be playing in the playoffs or playing for a playoff run in AAA. And I was super proud of them. I still think we got a chance in the second half. We just got to get some guys back off the IL. And I'm really proud of the group. They played hard. They worked extremely hard. And it was a downer, but, we responded, came back out and won a series after that break. So, hopefully we can catch fire like we did in May and June last first half. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it begs a follow-up question here, Matt, because if like you're saying, that having that experience of what playoff baseball is like, great. Give us more. Why only 4 teams at the AAA level? You have a winner here and the winner in the second half, and the same on the other side. If it really is about development, why wouldn't you want more guys tested in that?
Well, here's what I think's happened in baseball, especially at the AAA level. Once that they only can expand to 28 players in September, you got 12 players that are not playing baseball. And I think this one this rule that they brought about with 150 games in AAA allows us to continue to play and keep people active down the stretch for the big league team. My thought process is I would like to see at least 4 to 8 teams make it every year, and you can, the last 2 weeks of AAA would be playoff baseball. That's just for me. It's great for the players. I think it's great for, the communities like Rochester to, you look at the hockey here, they have a good chance to make the playoffs every year with the way their playoff system is, whereas baseball here in AAA, it's the hardest sport or hardest to make the playoffs in a professional sport, in all the sports. And that shouldn't be. And hopefully they'll make some changes next year because it's all about getting that feeling of playing playoff baseball to give you maybe an edge when you get to the big leagues.
Well, you get a gold star for knowing the Amherst, getting into the playoffs and getting
well,
back.
I mean,
there.
we usually when we come into town, it's playoff season for them, and we usually get invited to come over, and we enjoy going to ball games, and you see the community, and you see the fans how they love love the hockey and love winning, and I know it's the same here with baseball. It's just really hard to make it, and I hate it that we had I think we blew our chance, but I think second half. See what happens, but still, even if we win the second half, the Red Wing fans don't get to see playoff baseball because you don't get home field advantage.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I wouldn't bet it.
It's a bad rule, and hopefully they change it. I love baseball, but whenever you keep score, it's about winning, man. And even though the guys, a lot of people think that minor league players don't care. That's not true. Once it gets down to it, they got a chance to play for something. They get after it.
For sure. Yeah, the Wings taking on Syracuse tomorrow night. Matthew LeCroy, our guest, and one thing, Dan Mason, your staff, they always come up with these promotions. Tomorrow night, Ernie Clement bobblehead giveaway. We're very proud of Ernie in this town for good reason. Have you ever crossed paths with Ernie, Matthew?
Sure, Ernie's. I've been managing for 18 years now, and I've seen Ernie when he was with the Indians as a grinder, and then I saw him here in Buffalo. And then, obviously seeing Ernie, what he did in the World Series last year was something special, something that Rochester should be proud of. They should be honoring Ernie. For me, I'm just happy because, he's one of those players. I call them like dirty players. They don't always look the part, but they seem to they bite you. They make plays. They're not superstars, but they're winners. And Ernie's a winner. He won in college. I think he won a national championship with Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And then, here it's, had a chance last year to be in a World Series and play for that. You need guys like Ernie to be on your teams in the big leagues. You need those guys.
I'm hoping Mother Nature cooperates, Matt, because I'm looking at the forecast tomorrow, even Wednesday. I mean, what does that do for you as a manager? Because it's not only like, hey, we're not playing today. I've got to adjust my pitching staff here accordingly.
Yeah, I mean that we run it up the chain. We have to make sure that they line up our pitching from the front office up in the big leagues. So it does push people back, but we deal with Mother Nature. Hopefully it cooperates with us, but it don't look too good for tomorrow.
I think we're going to call you a permanent resident at some point here in town, Matthew. If I'd have known I was going to be here this long, I probably would have bought me some type of place to live. But you don't know, man. Baseball's still unstable, and I don't know if I can live here in the wintertime now. I'll tell you. Well, we don't need. Yeah, okay. So you could have 2 residences. I'm fine with that, but it's.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
I love Rochester, man. I'd hate to see me, have to go somewhere else, but the people here are great. Nothing would make me more happy than to win a championship here for all the people here. They love our players. They just love their team. They love baseball, and it's a passionate place, and for me, that's all you can ask for.
Well, always appreciate the time, Matthew. Let's do this again soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Matthew LeCroy, manager of the Rochester Red Wings, who open a series tomorrow night against Syracuse. And again, forecast. It's funny. I don't know if they do this for every bobblehead. I was just reading through the notes because if you go to a Wings game, there are 2 entrances. There's home plate, and then there's also a Plymouth. Plymouth is closed tomorrow night.
Interesting.
I'm wondering if that's because of they don't want any confusion around the bobblehead. If there's only 1,000 of these Ernie Clement bobbleheads, and it doesn't even matter who the bobblehead is, people kind of go nuts for the bobblehead. Like you and I experienced that when we were out there for the Juneteenth game.
Yeah.
And when I was in Kansas City last summer, it was like an Eric Hosmer bobblehead, and Binkley's like, "Let's go wait in line for this." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay, I suppose." Oh yeah, that team that beat my Mets. But then I'm like, "Wow, like these are people that okay, you know what? That's gonna go on eBay at some point." Kidding.
Did you get one?
I did. Does that make me a bad fan if I'm like collecting here's the giveaway?
Nah, make some money off of it.
Yeah, I'd still have it. Just like at some point, like I'm one of those lazy people that will collect something and like, maybe I'll put this up someday. And there's just this whole big thing in my basement of, things that I think I'm going to put up on eBay. For example, like in the trash, I picked something out of the trash here once. It was like, we have other stations here at the High Falls Studios, WBE, 98PXY, The Buzz, CMF, right? Mannheim Steamroller isn't exactly one of those, even when Christmas comes around, like I'm not playing it, but we must have played it at some point. And they sent us, the record label sent us one of those gold, hey, we sold so many of these. Thank you for playing this record. Here's a gold record. Now, I don't know if it's really a gold, but it comes in a nice frame. It was being thrown out. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to hold, I'm not that I'm a fan of, whatever the Christmas music is, but at some point.
Hey, make it yours. I've got the beer sword. I should have put that on eBay when those were a hot commodity, and now it's just kind of wasting away. But
now it's like that's devalued. Like you put a beer, everybody that wants a beer sword already has a beer.
Should have done it when it was hot.
Yeah. Thank you to Matthew Leaker. I love, he's somebody that he's just so easy to talk to. Like I think baseball people, maybe it's because of the routine of baseball. Like every day, you're doing this every day. Like they are easy to talk to. Football players, while they're in the sport, coaches, while they're in the sport, not so easy.
Too buttoned up.
Yeah, too buttoned up, afraid that we're going to give away some sort of trade secret or whatever. Like, I'm not asking Matthew LeCroy, for the signs here or anything or for strategy. We're just talking ball. That's always great. We got to do that more often. Wings in Syracuse tomorrow night. We will be talking here shortly with our guy, Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com. He's going to be actually in town with our guy, Matt Perino. We'll let him tell you where he's going to be. That's the fun part is not only you see the players coming to town, but some of the guests that we have on the show, they're coming back to the Flower City. But boy, oh boy, it's going to be really, really quick. Before we get to that, Tim, an update here on the story involving Michael Lombardi. And then it used to be Seth Wickersham, like he was the one where he put his name to a report. You're like, ruh-roh. Well, who is which guy like right now in sports is also a ruh-roh? Pablo Torre. Pablo Torre is reporting that North Carolina is being investigated when it comes to the distribution of NIL, the commission that oversees that. So, yes, we look at the NCAA and we think it's toothless. It's, but you still just can't allegedly, blatantly go against the rules. And so is Lombardi out for multiple reasons? Probably it's a good thing.
And that's crazy because there's almost no rules. And he still found a way to screw it up.
Still found a way to screw it up. Right. Or somebody, somebody blew him in, basically, or blew North Carolina in. One thing about North Carolina was it was just the arrogance of Belichick hiring his cronies. It's cronyism. And we are going to just show up and we're going to win games. And every other program that was on the schedule. I didn't realize this, but they're going to Ireland. They're in that week 0 game that's in Ireland? That's North Carolina this year. Okay, they get TCU. I cannot believe we are, when I tell you football's coming, folks, it's here.
We're going to get punched in the mouth on Wednesday, and we're going to love it.
Because Wednesday will also mark 1 month until real college football. North Carolina, TCU, USC on a Saturday afternoon. Virginia, NC State, Stanford, Hawaii. These are the week 0 games. I don't understand why like every team doesn't play a week 0 game. Like that would be something like, okay, let's go get the exposure. Let's do this now. And I think eventually we will have a schedule that maybe starts in August and then will last all the way to January. 585-866-4326. Let's get to Talbot. My name is Steve Battaglia here on WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
It's a new season, a new look for the Buffalo Bills. The team unveiling a new alternate. They're calling it Nickel City. Gray jerseys, gray pants, and royal blue helmets. Even though there's new head coach Sal Capaccio, WGR doesn't expect much in the way of change.
Practice generally looks the same, guys. You might have different periods of, like, if you really concentrate on when they're doing red zone or when they're doing field goals or something like that. Practice generally looks the same from coach to coach. Energetic, music's playing. You're just trying to get your work in, right? So I think that a lot of the stuff that's different is more behind the scenes.
8:30 Wednesday is the first practice. We'll talk some Bills coming up next. Ryan Talbot, Shout Podcast, NewYorkUpstate.com to join us. Rochester Red Wings opening a series tomorrow against Syracuse. Yankees tonight in Chicago against the White Sox. The Mets host the Braves. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the sports bar with Gene Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
They say, try to say something nice, right? What's the cliche? Don't say something bad. I don't know. Like, what's the nice thing I can say about these uniforms? Like, better than the J.P. Lossman era? We're joined by Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, Shout Podcast, who on his X feed found the Reddit, and reshared them. I'm like, oh, I guess this is the thing. Ryan, thanks for your time today. I've yet to find the person online that says, oh, I love these. I can't wait to see the Bills in them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's those people that go to Marshall's and like to buy the Bills jerseys that they have on sale there, and they're like, okay, this looks like something I would pick up at Marshall's. Usually, though, that'd be about $35, $40, not $199 to $400, depending on what you're paying for. It's a swing and a miss. I get it. It had meaning, but just because something has meaning doesn't mean it's going to look good in the end.
No, and we don't know when the team will be wearing them. And I also subscribe to Tim's take here that it's just a year where we got a lot of new things here, like a new stadium, new head coach, even though he's we're familiar with him, new defensive coordinator. There's a lot of new. Ryan, nobody was clamoring for new alternate uniforms this year.
Yeah, no, and definitely not a gray version. They have a really good color scheme with the red, white, and blue. There's people that were wanting the 90s look. There was a lot of things they could have done that would have been an easy slam dunk, and I don't want to criticize them too much for trying something new, but in the end, this is, it kind of looks like a little bit Boise State, a little bit Kentucky, Kansas alternate jerseys. I'm just not a big fan.
Oh, Ryan Talbot and hey, everybody else rolling into town, we'll tell you where you can catch up with Ryan and Matt Perino on the Shout Podcast. Ryan, biggest questions or biggest storylines in terms of camp, and I guess we can kind of start here. Joe Brady. I mean, the last time we had a new head coach for the Buffalo Bills at St. John Fisher, it was coming off the heels of Rex Ryan. That's how long it has been. So do we expect anything in the way of change? I mean, all eyes are going to be on Joe Brady. Your thoughts on Brady now taking the helm here?
Yeah, I'll be interested to see in terms of changes at the training camp, what he could implement, what he could try to do. I think, if anything, it's just going to come from a player perspective. We heard the Bills talk a lot about how they're going to manage their players differently, and a lot of that was in season with the nagging injuries and workload, practice management, vet days. But I could even see that trickling down to training camp, where you might not need to see certain guys very much, even though they're implementing a new defense, and Joe Brady might be trying to add some new wrinkles to the offense side of the ball. There are certain guys that have been here long enough where you're confident in Deion Dawkins, for instance, Spencer Brown. Get some younger guys in here, get some run, let them work a little bit, see what their depth looks like, rather than risk maybe a back injury for Spencer Brown, which we've seen a lot over the years, or Deion Dawkins having something happen to him, because those are the guys that you don't want anything to happen to between now and the regular season. So I just think that overall you're going to see a lot of the same periods, drills, et cetera, but maybe it's just going to be a little bit different with how they manage their veterans.
Yeah, and if there's one team that knows the roster gymnastics, so to speak, between the practice squad, PUP, say for instance, do you think we see Michael Hoyt from the get-go or PUP? I mean, that's going to be something I'm curious to see what the timeline is, because my opinion, Ryan, I don't know if this team needs Michael Hoyt week one against. It'd be nice against Houston. You'd rather have him ready in January when these games matter most. Your thoughts on Michael Hoyt and kind of the recovery timeline he might be on?
Yeah, it's a great question. I saw him recently at Mafia Con. He was moving well. He said he was very excited for training camp. He seemed like someone that was going to be participating, but he could start on the pup and be taken off of it any time during training camp. Obviously, if he stays on that at the end of the summer, he misses the first 4 games of the season. There is no rush, but I guess we just have to kind of wait and see where he is. It's so interesting with these injuries, the lower body and the time periods. Some of these guys are coming back now in 5 or 6 months, and the turnaround time is insane. So I'm in a wait-and-see mode with Michael Hoyt, but he certainly sounded like someone that was planning on participating at camp.
Yeah, our guest, Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com. Camp battles, and I don't know, which ones are just kind of out in the open. Okay, left guard is certainly one. I'm going to give you a question here, Ryan. Do we have a camp battle at corner opposite Christian Benford? And do we have a camp battle at linebacker? Your thoughts on what jobs may be open here in terms of starting positions?
So cornerback, I'm going to say I think Hairston is going to be the guy that starts this year. I think it's just going to be too difficult for a rookie to win that job. However, they're going to be monitoring, Hairston in terms of how he looks in a man defense. He has the speed. He has the foot speed. A lot of the traits you look for, but he played a very zone-heavy defense in college. He was drafted playing a very zone-heavy defense with Sean McDermott. So this is a big change for him. So he's going to have to show it. But it's very hard to expect a rookie to come in and do enough at training camp to unseat him. I could see in season maybe a replacement there. Hairston has his own questions, not just how he fits into a man defense, but the health issues, the shoulder injury in college, lower body here in Buffalo a little bit too. Missed some time, missed some playoff action last year. So how can he hold up physically? So definitely it's something to monitor, but I think Hairston is the heavy favorite for that job. Definitely a competition at linebacker. Terrell Bernard, they seem to like him a lot still, even coming off of the down year with the ankle injury. But that second job, I think, is up for grabs with Dorian Williams and Caleb Elarm-Zor. And, I know Elarm-Zor is a rookie, but he was playing a lot of reps during the spring where Williams was not healthy or available. So he has a little bit of an edge already in terms of getting used to what Jim Leonard's looking for. He was a Jim Leonard pick, technically being a selection in this year's draft. So that is one that I'm watching, and I do anticipate that Elarm-Zor is going to play a lot this year, whether he starts or not. He's going to be on the field a lot as a rookie.
Yeah, Ryan, a lot. You're going back to the Terry Pagula press conference. Keon Coleman has been kind of highlighted here, and he hasn't delivered on the expectation. Now, this is year 3, and in my opinion, all right, this is make it or break it. What needs to happen here for Coleman? Because from where I'm sitting, and it's July, and the sun is out, and he'll make some plays at camp, and he'll probably look good, assuming he's healthy. I don't know if we're going to have anything definitive on Keon Coleman here at the get-go. Your thoughts on Coleman in this important year coming up here for the third-year wide receiver?
No, I don't think there's anything you can do at camp because let's be honest, last year he won a lot of the practice in terms of the headlines and the stories, and we all know how his season went last year, so he could have another great training camp, but it's kind of one of those deals where we need to see it in real action, real time, not just in a week 1 game against the Ravens. He's got to be able to sustain that over the course of the regular season. So I'm not sure there's anything he can actually do this summer to make fans say, okay, something's clicked, this is it, because he's done so well at training camp in the past. That being said, he said all the right things in terms of knowing that this is a make or break season for him. He's done the right things, training, doing some different things, working with Stevie Johnson, for instance, on his breaks off the line. We know how good Stevie Johnson was at creating instant separation. So he's at least doing the right things, but I just don't know if there's going to be anything he can do this summer that's going to say, okay, that's it. He's finally ready to be that wide receiver 3 on this team behind DJ Moore and Khalil Shakir. There's a lot of question marks down that depth chart on the wide receiver position.
Yeah, is there one particular area where you like, all right, this team might be a little thin? I look at corner, And I'm surprised that we don't have another veteran corner. And maybe that could all change. Like, it's training camp, and ta-da, here's Tre'Davious White back, but we don't know where he's going or what that plan is. Again, the original question here, Ryan, and I was leaning in the direction of Core, didn't mean to, but is there an area right now that you think, all right, maybe the team would be best served if somebody is available to fortify the position here a little bit?
Yeah, I think inside linebacker and cornerback, those are the two that you have to look at. If you look at cornerback, let's start there. We've already talked about Christian Benford. You know he's the true number one. We talked about the competition maybe at cornerback too. They have D. Elford, but then it kind of thins out a little bit. You're talking about Toriano Pride having a really good chance, despite being a late day 3 prospect right now, of playing some significant reps on or being like one of the key reserves of that cornerback position, because you sit here and you're looking, okay, Jordan Hancock, who knows if they're going to use him more at safety or cornerback. If he is a corner, it's probably a nickel cornerback. DeCorey Couch has been here before. He was a UDFA. What's he got to do to earn a job? Jordan Dunbar. There's a lot of unproven entities at that position. So I think that you could bring in a veteran very easily, especially some of these guys down the depth chart are not performing well. And then inside linebacker, we already talked about the big 3 there, but you're talking about Joe Andreessen getting some run there. Jimmy Charlo, who was here last year with Camp Darling. Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, again, Keontae Jenkins. These are guys that we don't know much about in terms of how they would handle or hold up in a true game setting, where there's a lot of veterans out there, a Bobby Wagner, and you can bring back a Shaq Thompson. There's options abound, at least, at that inside linebacker position, where you might be more hard-pressed to find someone that fits an ideal man cornerback. You could bring in some veterans, though, just in general. Trey White's been mostly zone in his career, but you could bring someone like that in to at least compete. He's sitting out there for a reason, but those are the 2 areas that stick out to me.
Yeah, Gardner Johnson at safety. I'm curious how that plays out. And again, that might be something we don't really learn at this portion of camp here at Fisher, but the idea that Jordan Poyer had to come back last year and basically save that secondary, right? And credit Poyer for doing that. But what would this perhaps look like with improved play at the safety position? Your thoughts on something that, hey, for many, many years, you didn't even discuss it because it was so good. And in last year, I didn't think it was a strength of the team, certainly.
Right. I think Cole Bishop took a big leap last year, but opposite that, it was a mess last year. And you're right. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's coming into Buffalo. His last few stints in the NFL have been very short with teams. He's kind of moved on very quickly from different destinations. But the talent is there. He wasn't a fit necessarily in Houston last year. He wanted to be able to get after the quarterback, blitz a little bit, and do different things that they didn't necessarily do. I think he does fit very well into Jim Leonard's defense. And I actually am kind of high on the depth behind those 2. Geno Stone, 2023, he led the AFC in interceptions. He's a ball hawk. He's a guy that, if you're playing an aggressive style of defense, which I anticipate they will, that he could fit in very well. Jalen Kilgore was one of my favorite draft picks in this draft class, but just one of my favorite prospects in general. I thought he was a surefire day 2 pick, and the Bills were able to land him on day 3. And, even further down, I think it's going to be very hard for Damar Hamlin to make this team, but there's a guy that's played a ton of reps in this system. You have Sam Franklin Jr., who's more of a special teams guy, but you have some different options at least and some solid depth going down all the way to safety 5 or safety 6.
So this is the shortest camp we've ever had here in Rochester, and there are different reasons for that, right? But this does not mean we aren't in double negatives here. We are certainly still going to have like a Shout podcast in Rochester, correct, Ryan?
That is 100% correct. We'll be at the Mafia Hub on August 6th, the eve before the final training camp practice from 6 to 8 p.m. Meet and greet with myself, Matt Perino, a live Shout podcast, kind of breaking down everything we've seen at camp, and then who really needs to step up in that final practice heading into the scrimmage back in Buffalo. So we will be there, live show. We are very excited.
So that is the Thursday, as I'm trying to wrap my mind around the dates there. We'll have Matt on, too.
That is correct.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we're promoting that. Ryan, what is on the Shaw podcast this week? If we want to sharpen up a little bit, and what can we go check out at NewYorkUpstate.com as well?
Yeah, we have all the positional previews laid out heading into camp. Matt and I put out every position group starting last Thursday through Sunday, so everything's already there. We're going to have some discussion about the uniforms coming up here soon, but then we'll have observations every day after practice, live podcast. We will have Bills fans covered with everything they need to know.
Ryan, appreciate the time. Are you one of these people that says football's here, summer's over? Where do you come down on that?
No. Summer is not over yet. I want this to last a little bit longer, but I'm also very excited that we are getting some football, whether it's training camp, Hall of Fame game, you name it. It's a good combination of both right now.
Ryan, good to have you back on our air here, and thank you very much, and we'll look forward to seeing you here on the 6th.
Yeah, you got it. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Ryan Talbot, NewYorkUpstate.com, great friend of the show. There was a time, with Sports Bar 1.0, we're like, oh my gosh, where the world was at, are we coming back? Ryan was the first guest when we came back. So, Ryan has always, always, always been very gracious with his time here in the Sports Bar. And, hey, it's good to kind of have those refreshers oh, yeah, D. Alford, forgot about him. How are they going to kind of use him? If you're going to go to camp, just try to focus on things away from the ball. That's kind of what I tell people is, all right, you don't have to be an expert in line play, but maybe you can pick up one or two things. Just watch the defensive back play. Look how the safeties, what direction they going in. You can be your own scout there. Great to have Ryan on. We'll have Matt Perino on tomorrow as he will slide back into his Tuesday segment. And what do you know? It's feeling like football. Now, tomorrow, unfortunately for that Wings game, everything I'm reading just sounds like we're going to get soaked. And maybe that carries over to Wednesday, which for an opening practice, if you got tickets for that, I hope it kind of dries out in time. But what we can do now is take your calls. Last call is for you. Get it? Sports Bar, last call. 585-866-4326. My name is Gene Battaglia. This is WGR Rochester.
Are on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
I'll get in trouble for saying this. The guy's name is not Scoop. We pointed that out how many times. It gets to a point where like, okay,
5 months.
5 months. Yep. It's like a little Easter egg. You listen to the station, like, hey, there's that. Comes up in the rotation. Not as much as Damar Hamlin does. Last call is for you, 585-866-4326. We don't take ourselves that seriously here on the show. We mentioned this with, hey, the ticket demand in Buffalo, where you're going to have to pay ridiculous prices for a preseason game. You got to know somebody for the blue and the red scrimmage. If you wanted to go to the one and only practice that you could apply tickets for on August 18th, well, then you got to know somebody there, too. They're gone. Oh, comes this. This is almost like we knew this was coming. Tour experiences at Highmark Stadium. Let me read. This is just up. Coming soon. Our behind-the-scenes tours offer exclusive access to premium spaces, locker rooms, and other areas typically reserved for players and staff, bringing you closer to the action than ever before. Whether you're hosting guests, engaging your team, or creating memorable outings, Highmark Stadium tours deliver one-of-a-kind experience showcasing the innovation, energy, and excitement of Buffalo's newest iconic landmark. Okay. It's a tour, okay? Actually, it's not a tour. You want to take a guess how many different tours you could purchase here, Tim?
4.
5. You start off with, this sounds like your basic one, the Bills Mafia Tour. The Mills Mafia Tour, 60-minute guided tour, brings you closer to the action with visits to the Bills locker room, field level, and more, all while hearing exciting stories and unique insights shared by our knowledgeable tour guides. Well, if you want to kick it up a notch, the 90-minute VIP Tour, Bills Mafia Elevated Tour, where you get to go to premium spaces, including the Gallagher Founders Club, no idea what that is, the National Broadcast Booth. Oh, this is where Al Michaels sits, ladies and gentlemen. With more time, more access, and more in-depth stories, the VIP Tour delivers a truly exclusive look you won't want to miss. Well, it's like, where do you go from here? Well, sounds like there's one that they're willing. This one they shouldn't charge for. The Rally Day Tour, self-guided.
Instead of just having a ticket to the game?
It's like self-guided tour. Like you go to an art museum, like, okay, you click on the QR code, and then, okay, you're going to listen to something. You have a game day tour, okay, the VIP, and you see this at the old stadium. We're like, okay, here's the area where you get to stand. And then, they got to cover themselves this way. An educational tour where they will have educational experiences behind the scenes. So, okay, say you're a fourth grade teacher in Western New York. Well, this is, I don't know if this comes for free, but hey, this is how the stadium was built, or this is how we prepare the meals, or whatever it is. Hey, kids, this is where the Bills play. What's the one thing that's missing in all this here, Tim?
The cost?
Yes. How much does it cost? Like we were sharing the story about how AT&T Stadium in Dallas, like you're paying hundreds of bucks for the VIP tour. And you go into the boardroom with Jerry Jones, wood paneling, you sit down, big plush chairs. Everyone sit down, have a seat. And then in the middle of this, almost like Luke Skywalker. Oh, no, excuse me. I'm mixing him up. I think it's Leah from R2-D2. Here's hologram Jerry coming out. Well, I want to welcome you to Cowboys. Like, are we going to have that with the Bills VIP? Are we going to have a hologram of Ralph Wilson there coming out from the afterlife? I don't know. Tomorrow on the show, Matt Perino will be talking more Bills football as the team will be reporting to St. John Fisher. Go over there now. It's like it's all set up, ready to go. Has been for weeks. We will be taking your calls as well here in the Sports Bar. Today on the show, if you missed any of it, we had Matthew Lecroy, manager of the Rochester Red Wings. We also talked to Ryan Talbot. We thank you, those gentlemen, for giving us the time. If you missed that, Dan DeLorean, Dan Drumming has it up wherever you get your fine audio. That includes iHeart, YouTube, Spotify, everywhere. You can go find it. That's where we try to be. The Odyssey app being our preferred method, where you can listen 1 to 3, and the rewind feature, that's when we're on locally. Thank you for listening, and stay dry tomorrow, everyone. Scoop and the Bulldog coming your way next year. My name is Gene Battaglia, Rochester Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. WGR Rochester. Have a good day, everyone.